Hey, sexy people, Taylor Sparks here, your ethical non-monogamy coach, Aki. Today's conversation is about the most recent interview that Neo has had on the Ricky Smiley show, as he talked about the fourth girl joining his tribe and what everybody's doing in his relationship. The conversation was brief as they went on to other things, but this morning the Breakfast Club picked up on that and had lots to say, but before I give you my thoughts on what they had to say, because there was a lot of confusion as to whether he should or should not be introducing his children to polyamory, and should the women be around, and polyamory is Polynesian sauce. It was a bit of a mess, but it was mostly a bit of a mess because they are very uninformed about ethical non-monogamy. So take a listen. I'll come back on the other side.
And then what all right, and I know they met them. All right, you introduced your kids to all four of them.
Right.
If it was three, Shorty, it was another one that's on the roster now. She
Correct.
knew, she made the cut.
Right.
So are you explaining to them what this is? Like, also, if you're going to introduce them, explain to them what this is. This is called a polyamorous relationship. Teach them how to spell it. Teach them the ins and outs of it. Don't just introduce me to four bitches and be like, yeah, one can make you pancakes, the other one can help you potty train.
They're going to be so confused when they go to Chick-fil-A.
You know what I mean?
Yo, Polynesian sauce. My daddy got, wait a minute. Now, my daddy got some of that at the house.
Exactly.
But let's go to the phone line.
But I will say, I do feel like the future is going to be Polynesian sauce relationships. I think that's going to be normalized. I do. I don't know about four, but I can see men in the future having two wives.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a lot of hurt people out there. I don't feel like polyamorous just came out of nowhere. I feel like that comes from trauma in relationships or whatever. Like, nobody just wakes up and just want.
But look how big Neo head is. Can that big head boy be with one girl?
Oh my
I
goodness.
mean, he needs somebody to hold the hats. I mean, I guess,
That's what
I don't
I'm
know,
saying.
hold the
Oh, my
head.
God.
I don't
Hello?
know. It's
Well, that was a mouthful. So first of all, polyamory falls under the umbrella of ethical non-monogamy. You have open relationships where people might decide to have sex with others. It could be a don't ask, don't tell, but it is consensual. You have swinging relationships where people are ethically monogamous but physically non-monogamous, more of a recreational type sex. You have polygamy, often confused with polygyny, but polygamy is to have multiple spouses. Polygyny, under that umbrella, is one husband, more than one wife. And you could, legally call anybody, or legally, I should say, you could call anybody what you want, but in order to be in a polygynous relationship, you have to be legally married to at least one of the women. And then you have polyandry, which is one woman with more than one husband. And again, you could call people your wife, your husband, whatever you want, but in order for it to be actually polyandrous, you need to be legally married to one of the men. And then you have polyamory, which is to have more than one romantic partner at the same time with all parties consenting and being ethical. And yeah, from all accounts, Neo was not ethical in his past. He was a cheater that cheated a whole lot, apparently. Cheated while one woman was pregnant with another one. I mean, it was awful. Can someone who was in the past not ethical become ethical? Well, yeah, it's possible, just like someone, it's not like always a thief, someone's a thief in the past, they're always a thief. He could, of course, decide to turn over a new leaf and then become ethical in his relationships. And it sounds like, of course, none of us really know what he has done. But for those of you who do not know, polyamory, polygyny, polyandry, it's not new. All it takes is just 5-10 minutes of just a little bit of research. If you just put in the history of marriage, you will see that polygamous and polygynous and polyandry has been around for hundreds of thousands of years, centuries of years. It's not new. It didn't just pop up on the screen. Some of us may be new to it because of the internet, but it has not only existed longer than the monogamy that we know today. And mind you, marriage is a social construct. Relationships and how we move in relationship, it's a social construct. There was a time where polygamy was widely accepted, and in some cultures it still is today, right? Muslim culture, Mormon culture. You have more traditional, which is religious polygamy or polygyny. Polyandry also still exists today and has been around for thousands of years in places like Nepal and different places in Africa where women have more than one husband. It is not new, just like being gay is not new. It's just new to you. So to have this judgment like, oh my God, you're going to hell. And, you know, you have to understand and realize that, especially for those of us who are African American, this form of Christianity was forced upon us when we got here to this country. And then we acquiesced to it. And, you know, when you don't know something, just, I mean, you have the world at your fingertips now. Google it. You know, don't. And I know the Breakfast Club is, you know, it's good for, you know, controversy and jokes and having a good time. So I don't think anyone takes everything seriously. I did find it kind of odd, though, that Jess referred to the, you know, to the women as bitches. I mean, maybe that, I don't know her. Don't you come for me, Jess. You know, I don't know her, but meaning like, I don't like know her. No, I know of her, of course. But, you know, like you're giving more, you know, props to the man who was supposed to be disgusting than you give to the women that we don't even know. I mean, they're all grown women. They all seem to be, you know, no one seems to be coerced or being forced against their will to spend time and hang out with him and travel the world. I could definitely see the women that he cheated on being completely, you know, pissed about this, because it's like, but what we don't know is, did he in fact you know, have this conversation with his former women and say, listen, this is what I want. And they were like, no. And he was like, well, I can't do this no more, or I'm still going to do what I'm going to do. We don't know. But, you know, when Black women, you know, express themselves sexually, you know, we get relegated to, you know, to the Jezebel. You know, we become the bitches. We become, you know, the women that just ain't worthy of marrying by so many. And a lot of that shit comes from slavery, right? That whole Jezebel thing, that is, you know, the woman who just, you know, can't help herself and is just overly sexualized and she's going to steal her man. You know, men put that title on women. And then women picked it up, and some women picked it up as a way to protect their daughters. Don't be out there with them boys. Don't be out there spreading. You don't want to be no whore. You don't want to be no Jezebel. But Black women have never been afforded the opportunity to be sexually free like white women. When the whole sexual revolution came in the 60s and 70s, white women couldn't do that, but Black women couldn't. Because as soon as we did, we were Jezebels and whores and bitches. I'm just saying. You know, it's just not it's not a title. And it's either that, or we're like the mammy stereotype. Think of Viola Davis in the movie The Help. You is kind, you is smart, where you put white people in all their needs and everybody else's needs in front of you. So when we don't know something, sometimes we attack it. But there was a time even in Christianity where priests could be married and have mistresses. So no, this is not new. But wait, there's more. Hold that thought.
His baby mom said it's disgusting and she feels like it's inappropriate for their children to be introduced into this lifestyle. And we're taking your calls, 800-585-1051. Jess is like, nah, no way.
No.
Not right.
But what it was interesting what the last caller just said. She was like, yo, he's not, especially if the kids don't live with him, he's not a full-time dad. I mean, he can't. He's an entertainer.
Right.
You know, he's an entertaining boyfriend of 4 women. So it's like, they're not with him all the time. So why can't you just have that time with your kids? Send them, get them 4 different rooms, or 1 room, since they sleep in one house with you. Go send them somewhere. You know what I mean? Like,
spend the weekend with your kids without them, right?
And then, you know what I mean? So they ain't even got to be exposed to that. Let them get a little bit older before, you know, you do that. Because obviously this is his life and this is what he been wanting to do.
I will say this. When I listened to Ricky Smiley, he got all of them doing chores. He was like, yo, this one cooking the lunch, this one doing this, this one doing that.
So when is the appropriate time to introduce your children to this polyamorous lifestyle that you're living? You know, not only is that a personal choice, but I think the children have to be old enough to understand adult relationships. So that may not be until they're teenagers. right? Because children, you know, people get together and they break up all the time, right? So you introduce your children, and even if you were monogamous, I would say that if you were a single monogamous dad or mom, I would be like, I wouldn't have anyone around my young children until I know for sure that this relationship is going to be a solid one, because the kids get attached, and then you're swapping out one for, you know, for another. So this also happens in monogamy. It's not even an ethical non-monogamy or a monogamous kind of thing. But when you have little kids, they don't quite understand. So again, we don't know what he said to the kids. Just because he said, hey honey, could you fix the 2-year-old, you know, peanut butter and jelly sandwich? She said, yeah. And he was like, that's my girlfriend. The 2-year-old don't know what the word girlfriend means. They can't fill that concept up. So even introducing the young ones to it, you know, they just know there's a girl at the house and she seems to be nice and daddy likes her, and that's it. So at that age, they don't know. Teen, you know, that 7 or 8, 9, 10 preteen thing, they get it. And you have to think about their mom and how these kids have to go back to their mom and be like, you know, dad's got girls at the house, because they are, you know, they're already having to deal with the fact that their mom and dad are separated. And now these new adults are coming in, befriending them. So it could be a little bit, you know, hard for that children in the middle age. Like I said, teenagers who might have had a girlfriend or a boyfriend, they're older. You can kind of sit down and have a discussion with them, and they could do their own research on what ethical non-monogamy is. Yes, of course. But when it, you know, again, polyamory is not new. It's been around for a long time, and just like every other love style, depending on what society deems as normal at this time, that is what people do. But wait, there's more. Be right back.
What's your thoughts? You would be cool with that for your son?
Look, I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but because everyone does what works for them, you know, do it. You know, but if your kids are gonna be around your significant other, regardless of how many significant others you have, I guess if you're serious about these women, they should meet your kids. I just don't know how serious you can be with 4 women. You know what I mean? I don't see how serious you can be with 4 women. Like, that's always the debate. Should your children meet your significant other when? Mm-hmm. I don't know how serious you can be with 4 women, so I don't know if these women should meet your children.
But what if you don't agree with that lifestyle?
Yeah. So on the matter of how serious could somebody be with 4 women, love is infinite, right? You don't run out of love. We're not pie. we're not going to run out of love. It's not like if I have, you know, I love my one child, and if I have another child, I have to take the love from that child and go, sorry, I got another child, and give it to that child. And I know people always want to say, no, but that's different. Loving your children is different than loving people. It is society that has put a hierarchy on romantic love. Love is love. If anything, you should have learned that from gay people, okay? Love is love. There is no amount of love that you don't run out of it. So whether you have 4 women, and you don't love people the same, because the people are not the same. You love different people for different reasons. The same way you have a different friend. You go to hang out with this one to play ball. You go with this one to go fishing. You go this one to go skating. Because they all bring something different to you as a person. We as adults, we as humans are not monoliths. We are different. There are different facets to us, and no one person can provide everything to you. Now, for those of us who've been married for many years, within my 25-year marriage, we were 12 years ethically monogamous, 13 years ethically non-monogamous. It was my idea to open the marriage, and then we kind of did the open swinging polyamory thing. And at one point, I had the husband and 3 boyfriends. So they were talking about, how could you know, can women do that? Yes, women do. Women do. You know, it is the patriarchy that says that women cannot have that lifestyle, and it's bullshit. Women, just like men, have the capacity to love more than one person. Yes, women's bodies are also built for that as well. We are emotionally built for that. But you have to, again, look at the history of relationships between men and women, and look at the history of marriage. There was a time when men owned property, and I mean, they own property now, but you had property and cattle and all this, and you had to ensure that the heirs were yours. So they had to tell women, you can't be out there with these other men and getting pregnant, because when I pass down this 400 acres, this city, this fort, this castle, this crown, I need to know that that person is mine. That child is my child. And you're not built for that. They've been saying that since, almost since the dawn of time. And it's certainly not true. But women have believed it, and we have passed that on to our daughters. No, you can't. But again, it is possible to not only love and take care of more than one person at a time, because love is infinite. Now, time is not. You can only love as many people as you have time for. Neo is not a 9-to-5 guy. He makes his own schedule. The women have decided, I'm going with you. So where we go, where you go, I go. I'm assuming none of them, have children. And so they have the freedom, if they're being taken care of, if you will, to be able to go and hang out. And if I was his ex-wife, I would be pissed because I'm home with the damn children. And they're getting to go bebopping all around the damn world. It is agitating. It is very frustrating. And we collectively don't know what he has said to his women in the past about wanting to have an open relationship and being ethically non-monogamous, and they were against it. But from what he says in his interviews, he has never been happier in his life. And polyamory is not sex-based. It is a relationship-based style. Is there sex? Well, clearly, right? There is. But it is a romantic relationship-based style of loving. But wait, just one more thing. Just one more thing.
I will say that, as a woman, someone who's married to one man, I don't necessarily agree with that lifestyle, but I do commend you for living in your truth, because, we live our own lives and we have to live with our choices and we have to be happy. So
exactly.
I think it's, a testament to what works for you. So.
And that's the main thing. Please understand that I'm not in here saying that everybody should try what I'm trying or do what I'm doing. I'm telling y'all what works for me. I'm showing y'all what works for me. And
right.
If you agree, cool. If you don't, cool. You know what I'm saying? Either way you slice it, I'm happier than I've ever been.
And that right there is the bottom line. He is doing what makes him happy. And if more of us did the things that made us happy, whether it's monogamy, ethical monogamy, or ethical non-monogamy, why are you not living the life that you want to live? Why are you letting society, the Breakfast Club, Neo, or anybody else dictate to you whether you should have one partner or 4 or 5 or 3 or whatever it is that you want? We do only come through here this one time, and maybe there is reincarnation, right? I don't know. But what if you die and you come back as a leaf on a tree and you only live 3 days and then you die? You would have missed out on this whole human experience, the good, the bad, and the ugly of it, because you were letting somebody else decide for you that this is the only way. And especially, as we become more mature, he's 43, I think now, and he's like, this is the life I want to live. He is hurting no one. So why people feel this need to make such judgment on somebody they're not sleeping with? He's not paying your bills. He's, nothing. I mean, I've seen some of the comments talking about, their pH balance must be off. I'm like, oh my God, it's just sad, the amount of judgment that people put on other people's lives, even in the process of trying to explain it to the public, you see. Anyway, that's my take on it. Again, my name is Taylor Sparks. I am an ethical non-monogamous coach who's been teaching and coaching in the ethical non-monogamy community for more than 10 years, and personally and professionally more than ethically non-monogamous for, God, almost 16 years now. So I know a little bit about this, but if I can help you in your journey, if you're looking to know more, you want to transition, or you just have questions, you feel free. My DMs are open. Feel free to book some time with me. It's free. And or if you want a deep dive, my book, An African American Guide to Ethical Non-Monogamy, is also available on Amazon and where all books are sold. But if you think you might be open or poly or a swinger or polygamous, you can log onto my site, or I think the link is in my bio somewhere, and you can take the Ethical Non-Monogamous quiz. Find out for yourself. And then no one gets to tell you, and no one gets to see it. You get to decide for yourself. Till next time, have a great day. Bye-bye.